How's it going, YouTube? I know when I did my last video on the Mossberg 930, I told you all that I had a few mods coming in the mail, and I would do another video after I had installed those just so you could see. And so usually with a shotgun, one of the first things that I do is I like to have an ability to carry extra shells. Now with the Mossberg 930, I mean it's great. It holds 7 in the tube and 1 in the chamber. For a 12 gauge, 8 rounds is significant, especially for a semi-auto. And I did take this thing to the range, and it is amazing. Put a lot of rounds through it, and it performed flawlessly. I had some pretty cheap rounds, and then I had more expensive slugs and buckshot, and it ran everything flawlessly. But because this thing will fire as fast as you can pull the trigger, you'll run out of those shells pretty quick and need for a quick reload. Now, I will tell you that I trained with AR for a whole lot of years, decades. I train with a handgun. That's primarily what I train with now, mainly because I view that if you're going to be in an altercation, a situation, your handgun is what is on you all the time. And I would say in the slight chance that you are in a situation, there's a 99% chance that that's going to take place while you're with your handgun. It's off topic. But I said all that to say that I don't train with a shotgun all that much. I'm not a 3-gun guy. I don't do a whole bunch of shotgun training. And the shotguns that I do is something like this. This is what I play with when I do go to the range. And so this is, it's a newer thing for me. So I got out there and I started putting shells through it, and it's super fun to shoot, amazingly fun. And so when you start shooting, and then it's time to reload, you need to be extremely careful that after you put 30 or 40 rounds through here, this barrel heats up a lot. Now, I've had Mossberg tacticals pumps in the past, and most of them had shrouds over the barrel, and it dissipates a little of that heat. But I'll tell you, while you're shooting, when you flip this thing over to do your reloads, if you flip it over and you grab that barrel, and you're not wearing gloves, it's going to be a bad day for you. I flipped it to the side to do a quick reload, and my thumb touched that barrel, and it'll wake you up. So, training. All that did was wake up a part of me that let me know I need to go put a few hundred more shells through this thing and get the mechanics of a fast reload down. Or you shouldn't pick it up at all if you can't do that. So when you're shooting and you come off of it, that left hand should be on the receiver, unless you're wearing some really good gloves, and then you can do your reloads from here. My hands have got oil on them, and then you do your reloads here. And with this particular shotgun, you load 1 in the chamber first, let that bolt go forward, and then the rest in the tube. And once you get the mechanics down, it goes pretty quick. It's you can put a few shells in there really fast and get back to work. Now this side saddle is very tight right now, and it needs to be broken in because the retention on it is pretty slick. And you can see that the side saddle here is a little more broken in than this one. But these GG&G Side Saddles is definitely what I recommend. Now, I will say that the fit and finish of this side saddle is great. They do a great job. And they have these rubber bands on the inside to act as the retention aspect of the side saddle. And they're in here at an angle, what makes it easier to reload. And it looks pretty sharp too. So the side saddle gives you a very stable way of carrying more rounds. Now they do make the Velcro magazines that hold the shells, and you can just rip them off and take another one off and replace it. I don't have good experiences with that Velcro tape. It just sticks to the side of my receiver. After you use it for a little while, it just starts to peel up anyway. So this is a more stable option. The downside of this is that you replace your knockout pins with these threaded bolts, and that's what holds the side saddle in. If you're familiar with these Mossbergs, you have to knock those pins out every time you take this thing apart to drop the trigger housing. So now you'll have to remove these bolts every time. I'll tell you that bolts tend to wear, especially if they're take these things out 5 or 6 times. You'll start to round off the ends of these Allens for sure. I would have been a little more happy with it if it was more of a screwdriver, just a flathead maybe. Those tend to last a little longer than Allens. But regardless, be careful with it when you do take them out, and with some care it should last much longer. Make sure you use the correct size, the one that comes with it, or similar that's perfectly sized to the bolt. Don't try to put a smaller one in there. You'll round them off for sure. So GG&G Side Saddle, I recommend it. I also went with the GG&G follower. You could see with the red follower you have there. So it comes with a black one, and it makes it difficult to see in low light conditions or even in shade to know whether you got a round in there or not. But this red follower has 2 purposes. One, it allows you to see this very quickly, identify it quickly, so you know whether you have a round in the tube or not. And the second thing is this follower it's made to be a lot more smooth, so it moves up and down the tube much easier than the factory excuse me, the factory follower does. So it allows for a much smoother function. Now I will say that another thing to think about when you install the side saddle is you'll put it in there and the instructions say to snug it and then do a quarter turn. If you do that, your bolt will not lock to the rear. It'll bind up and you'll be confused for a second. And then you come off a quarter turn on these bolts and it'll work perfectly. So they also tell you that you should put some blue Loctite on these bolts to hold the side saddle in. Something to think about. They will rattle loose, no doubt. But if you put too much blue Loctite on them when it comes time to take this thing apart, every time you clean it, that's just more stress you're going to have to put on the head of that bolt to break it loose from that Loctite. So deal with that as you will. The next few times I take it to the range, I'm going to keep that Allen wrench in my pocket, and after every 25 shells or so, I'm going to check these and see how loose they're coming, or if I need to snug them up, or if I do indeed need to put blue Loctite on them and just invest in 4 or 5 more sets of these bolts in case they do round off on me, which I think I'm going to do that anyway. The third mod is this safety selector. So Mossberg comes with it's kind of a smooth, it has some ridges in it, but it's a much more smooth selector switch than this. This selector switch allows for a much easier manipulation, and you feel it much easier. And it's easy to install. You just pull this bolt out. You have to be careful when you pull it out because it is under spring tension, and there's a plate under there and a little ball bearing. Make sure not to lose those. Just loosen that up, take this top off, push it down with your thumb, install the other one, and put the new bolt in. And the bolt comes with this. I think you can get these things off Amazon for 20 bucks. I think the side saddle ran me about 75 bucks and the follower was about 40. But all together, I think they're great. Great modifications to the 930. You never go wrong with having more ammo on your weapon or your person, unless it's too much to maneuver. And I feel that this is a necessary upgrade, and it's cheap and easy to do. So yeah, GG&G Side Saddle, GG&G follower, and I don't even know the company that makes these. They're made by 1,000 different companies, but they're all the same. And they're all anodized aluminum. But yeah, I recommend.